have other towns that don't have manageable numbers, where they see it, very few retirees and a bunch of them are coming. So we start giving them notice that, hey, 10 years from now, you have a large problem. A lot of retirees are coming online. You don't really have that. You're in a fairly stable, it's growing, but it's not, again, in present value terms, it's going to double over the next 40 years. But that gives you 40 years to adjust for something that's going to double. So it means you're growing it in present value terms at, 1.5% a year, 1.4% a year. It's not crazy. So with that, I'm sure people have questions about all this stuff and how we come up with these numbers and why we do these numbers, and whatever questions people may have, I'm certainly happy to do our best.
Can you just explain again, walk us through the excise tax issue that came up? This is the first year that's come up, I believe. And
exactly.
What is, why are we paying it? What does it go for? Is there any benefit to us having it?
There's no benefit to you unless the concept is that you believe that paying the tax to help offset the cost of the Affordable Care Act is a benefit to you. Then that's a benefit to you, but you're not getting, there's no direct impact that a town of Ipswich is somehow getting some tangible benefit or cash because of it. The concept behind the tax is that this was put in saying that single employee benefits in 2018, medical benefits that will be greater than $10,200, or family benefits that are greater than $27,500 in 2018 will be subject to an excise tax of 40% on the premiums above that amount. So if you have a family medical plan that costs $29,000 in 2018, you would take the $1,500 above $27,500, and there's a 40% tax on that, or $600 that will be paid to the federal government. And so basically the idea here is it's meant to get people to reduce benefit plan levels to get rid of high-cost plans. Now, if I'm in Iowa, medical plans are very cheap. If I'm in California or Florida, pension plans are insanely expensive. This does not have a geographic component to it. This is a national 10.2 and 27.5, and they're indexed to general cost of living, not medical care inflation after 2018. So more and more people will be hit with it. Now, your guys' plans today, your single coverage on average runs about $7,300, and your family coverage on average runs around $21,000. So you've got some space before you get to those numbers. That's why, again, the excise tax for you folks really isn't that significant. I have some folks right now that are right near the $27,000 number, so they have a very large excise tax bill coming due. And the idea here is, I can give you a Town of Foxborough we work with. They've been, adjusting their plans over the last couple of years to get away from that excise tax. So they're, going to less generous plans. They're putting in health reimbursement accounts, high deductible plans, all that kind of stuff, because they're trying to get away from that 10.2 and that 27.5. Eventually what will probably happen either is enough people will complain as we get closer to 2018 and they will revisit that issue. However, that generates a lot of tax revenue, and if you're familiar at all with Congress and 10-year budget windows, if they change that, they have to come up with the money somewhere else. And so that would be considered a tax cut if they were to change that, and therefore where are they going to raise taxes?
So I'm sorry, I guess I just missed something in here. So I don't understand why we're paying it at all if our
because
current rates
by 2018,
you are projecting that our cost,
and maybe not in 2018, but in 2030 or 2035, because remember that 10,200. You're not paying it now.
Oh.
No, you're not paying anything today. This tax doesn't come into play until 2018. But the point is, you have a liability.
Does the number ever increase? Or
increases by general inflation, not medical inflation.
So you've made certain assumptions.
So we assume CPI goes up by 2.5% a year, and we assume medical care costs are going to go up by 5% a year. And so over time, since medical care costs going faster than general inflation, over time, in your guys' case, around year 2025, 2030, your plans start to exceed the excise tax.
Our standard plan, our average plan.
Your standard plans, yes.
We have a range of plans.
You have a range of plans, but it's based on the average of all of your plans. So again, that's why I say people are starting to go in now in their union negotiations to try and, basically get to lower level plans to try and get away from that excise tax.
So one of the potential, what could happen potentially in this calculation is if in fact the Affordable Care Act bends the cost curve and medical inflation in fact doesn't go up by 5%, but goes up by 3%
Yep.
or 4%, then it's very possible that we would not incur any excise tax.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's absolutely true.
That's
And again,
just a function of the assumption you use in that calculation.
100% true. And again, out of your $36 million, your excise tax is $662 grand. So it's not, material is the eye of the beholder, I suppose, but that's not really where your issue lies. Like I said, your guys' plans, you don't have Cadillac gold-plated plans. That's why your excise tax bill is so low, because your plans aren't that rich. I have plenty of other plans where the excise taxes are in the many millions of dollars. Because again, they have plans that are already near that amount and are going to blow right through it if they don't make adjustments between now and 2018. So yeah, and that's really the idea behind it, is they want this to basically be used as a tool to try and get people to not have first dollar plans and not have $10 copays and things like that. They want you to have cost sharing. And so that's one of the issues you're going to run into with your negotiations is when you're paying a 40% excise tax in the year 2030 or pick a year, and you go to your bargaining unit and you go, guys, here's the deal. For every dollar of medical benefits I give you, I have to pay 40% to the federal government. So a dollar costs $1.40. Why don't we cut the benefits back and I give you guys $1.20 and we take 20 cents? That way we split the excise tax rather than giving it a dime to the feds. So it's a way that basically you're going to tell people take less in benefits and more in cash, or more in other types of benefits, not medical benefits. Because pension benefits aren't subject to this. Sick leave benefits aren't subject to vacation leave, whatever. So it's trying to steer people away from medical benefits in lieu of compensation.
But it's only 40% on the excess above
that amount.
the threshold. So.
Correct. Yeah, you're not trying to eliminate medical benefits altogether. You're trying to get lesser plans, basically.
And so the $2 million increase, I guess it's good news, right? We're all going to live longer? Is that...
in that sense, it's good news. On the other hand, if you're managing a plan, not so much. So no, but no, absolutely. That is the concept. And, there's actually a new mortality table that will be coming out later this year. Again, another exposure draft to reflect, the higher lifespans. And that is definitely causing costs. On the pension side, you've probably seen that on your pension side, that your numbers went up when they put this mortality table in last year, and you're seeing the same thing here. And so, yeah, for the standpoint of the plan, people are definitely living longer, and that is, raising costs.
One of the, probably the biggest factor that generates the total amount of liability is the discount rate, right?
Correct.
And so you did this based on a 4%
Correct.
rate. You say it's probably going to go to 3.45, so
Yep.
we're going to get another 10% increase
Yep.
in our liability. Not good news. And yet, my understanding is that if we get to some, undefined level of commitment to fund this, we can use a discount rate of 7 or 7.5%.
Yeah, whatever your long-term funding policy would be. So again, if
we looked at, there was an article about the town of Dedham who's done this and committed to funding their OPEB liability on an ongoing basis at a certain level.
Yep.
And that was able to help them achieve both the AAA bond rating, which is great, but equally as important and separately, right, that their OPEB liability is now dramatically reduced.
Yeah, as an example, Town of Ipswich that we work with, and we worked with them about a year ago to put in a funding schedule, a 30-year funding schedule. Mm-hmm. And after that, I wrote a letter to S&P on their behalf, about a 6-page letter, and they got a 2 ratings point bump, mm-hmm. which obviously when you're going to borrow money, that's nice. But as I always come back to, you have to put up the money. So
Yes.
that's the underlying problem. Everybody wants the ratings point bump. Everybody wants to show the lower liability. But you have, $700,000-800,000 a year to set aside. That's.
But leaving aside the bond rating, which
Yep.
is certainly a worthwhile issue to think about, but it seems to me the bigger thing is that, if by funding, if we were funding this